Thanks for tuning in to tonight's edition of the Renshaw Report. Murray the Eye, reporting from the city too tough to die, New London. My special guest tonight, and we're honored to have him here, let me tell you, Bill Cornish's beautiful daughter, Alexandria. Get a close-up of her right away, please, Sherry, because she is drop-dead gorgeous, let me tell you. And his favorite son-in-law, Dr. Steve Wilson, and you all know that Steve comes on every year from California. It's one of the best shows all year that we have. Cornish was going to come, and you know, he lights the show up, and we have a lot of action when Bill Cornish is here. But when Dr. Steve and Alice are on, he's a spectator, so he chose not to come on tonight. Now, I just got a few announcements, and I got a clip for you to show you before we get to Dr. Steve and Alice. Just a couple of announcements. First of all, since Roger DuPont, Johnny Occonaro's brother-in-law, resigned or retired from CLMP, you know our electric rates went up. When he oh boy, I'll remember that later. But anyway, now Roger's got a Corvette, a red Corvette. He forgets all his old friends. Forgot everybody. He's got the Corvette hat, the Corvette cape, and all that stuff. We're going to have a talk with you, Roger. Don't forget your old friends, okay? I got some information today. I'll get into it next week. The other thing that I have to mention tonight, last week we announced the most eligible bachelors in the area, and I got to tell you, I've got to come up with a fair way to evaluate the situation. You know, Todd Lynch has only got a couple nights off a week. Paul Lynch has only got a couple nights off a week. I got several calls on Todd and Paul of ladies who would like to date them. I got to figure out a fair way to do this, whether it should be in alphabetical order, in the order that you call or whatever, but I will work that out. On the other hand, the third guy I mentioned has got absolutely no calls, and you know who I'm talking about. You know the other guy that I'm not going to mention his name, but ladies, somebody, there's got to be somebody for this guy. I'll get into that next week, but it's a little embarrassing. Lynch and Renshaw got all these calls. He got nothing, not one even call. If you got an ugly sister or somebody, even this guy is so desperate, just do something. There's somebody for everybody, believe me. Let's help the guy out a little bit. Now, the day paper will find out about this probably after, hopefully somebody will watch the show and report it to the day paper, because they're last to report on important issues. What's happening in New London as we speak is the homeless shelter wants to relocate their facility from a church, I don't know where it is, to another church located on Jefferson Avenue. The neighbors are concerned, everybody's concerned. There's a great deal of anxiety about what's going on here. Here's what's happening. A couple of interviews with both the parties. Please roll segment A, B roll 1, please. Live on location down on Jefferson Avenue, where we found out just today that there's proposal to relocate the homeless shelter from where it is now up at that church to Jefferson Avenue. Naturally, the residents have concerns about it. I'm live with Laura Casero. Laura's got some reservations about what's happening here. Laura, what's your problem with bringing the homeless shelter next to your neighborhood and next to your kids?
I myself have 4 children. They're all school age, and we're concerned with the safety and the security issues with having 50 strangers in our neighborhood, especially while the shelter is closed from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? My children are very loving and very friendly children. They love to talk to everybody, and I send my son down the street to get vegetables every day, and he has no problem. He feels fine going down there. He knows everybody he sees. But the idea of having 50 strangers milling about for 12 hours just kind of makes him feel uncomfortable, and it makes me feel uncomfortable also. You know,
how long have you lived here, Laura?
7.5 years.
7.5 years. Okay. Are you against the homeless people?
No, I'm against having it here in this residential area with all my neighbors. I have very elderly neighbors, I have very young neighbors, I have blind neighbors, and it's a scary situation, because I'm not saying all homeless people are bad people. It's just there's going to be at least one that's going to spoil the bunch for everybody, and we're just concerned with the safety of the kids and of the elderly.
Okay, Laura, you have a meeting here tomorrow night.
Yeah, the church is having an open house tomorrow night to get the neighbors down, to explain to them how they want to operate the church and who's going to be running it, and to answer any questions that we have. It's at 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
As you have the information, will the Planning and Zoning Commission be making a decision next Thursday night?
I don't know if they'll be making their decision next Thursday night, but on the 16th at 7 o'clock, they're going to be having a public hearing to get everybody down there to voice their opinions and hear from everyone how they feel about it, whether they oppose it or approve it.
Thanks for the interview, Laura.
Thanks, Murray.
Richard Paul and his beautiful wife Barbara have been residents on Jefferson Avenue for as long as I can remember. When did you guys find out about this, and what are your thoughts on the homeless shelter being relocated here at the church?
Just about a week ago, that one of our neighbors informed us that the homeless shelter was going in here. And then we started together and get a petition so people can sign it and keep these people out of here. I have no reservation against the homeless person down in their lot. But I don't want them, when they get out at 7 o'clock in the morning, where they're going to go. Down here at the corner and stand there with our kids going to school, waiting for the bus to pick them up. And what are they going to do all day long? They're going to be in our neighborhood because they're going to have our neighborhood, and I'm against that.
Barbara, what are your thoughts?
I'm concerned about the neighborhood too, Murray. I've lived here for over 30 years. We have young grandchildren and children that come and stay with us. I'm concerned for their safety during the day when they're out in the yard playing. People have no place to go when they leave here during the day. And I'm asking people out there, do you want these people in your neighborhood? They already have a place to stay. Why do we have to have it moved to a residential and commercial neighborhood that's really not appropriate for people to be wandering around all day? And there have been numerous calls, by the way, to the police and fire department to respond to the St. James Church.
Well, let me just tell you, I spoke with very high authority today who told me that there have been absolutely no problems with the homeless people where they're located. So somebody needs to inform people who are going to be making this decision on what's going on, if in fact that is true. I mean, I don't know how this
Well,
information
through public information, I was able to receive reports that there have been over 45 ambulance calls to that location and over 50 police calls just since November of last year. That's a lot. That's a lot of
Now,
concern.
are the neighbors, do we have a group that is going to voice their opinion on this? How do the rest of the neighbors feel?
The rest of the neighbors are behind us.
So,
I'm behind you.
Jefferson Avenue, is it made up of mostly homeowners, or are there...
There are some renters, there's homeowners, there's young people, there's older people, and we're all concerned about this in our neighborhood.
Anything else you want to say before we sum up?
And especially, this is a state highway. I don't think that homeless shelter should be on a state highway to begin with. Because the traffic, there's too much traffic here and they go too fast.
Thanks for the
Been
answer.
for 30 years.
Yes.
Leroy, what's your position on this shelter?
Well, I really don't like the idea of having a shelter here because I have a lot of nieces and nephews, young girls and boys, and they visit me regularly. And they go to school. Some of them go to school off this street also. And I'm concerned about their safety. There's a lot activity going on the street as it is. And if you bring more, that just adds to the problem.
Do you have drug activity on the street?
Yes, a whole lot of
Is that a
trouble.
problem?
That's a problem. That's a problem. And I don't think that this should really bring that on the street. Because like I full stated already, there's a lot of activity going on the street with drugs and every other thing. Like for instance, they walk through the yard, they start saying all kind of profanity. And I said once to the person that was going through the yard, I said, this is a private property. So he told me, so what? That's what he said. I'm paying the tax, I'm taking care of my place, and he telling me, so what? On my property. I didn't like that. So you figure if you keep on bringing more people here, you're going to add on to what we got here now. And that's a problem here. Now, I don't see people on the street that really stopping anything because it's still continuing on the street. Now, if you bring more people, like I said, what you're doing is adding more problem to the situation.
Now, is the church still going to be located here? The property is owned by the church, the way I understand it?
Yeah, I heard that it is, but I'm not sure. But I think it is.
All right, so those details I'm sure you'll get tomorrow night. Anything else you wanna say before we sum up?
I just want to say that we really don't want that here.
Thank you, Mr. Drayton. Kathy and Reverend, I just met down at Jefferson Avenue with the residents who found out about this proposal today. Naturally, they're very upset. I'm sure you understand their concerns. We want to get both sides of the issue out for everybody so that they can make a intelligent decision on this issue. What's your position on what's going on? Why did you locate on Jefferson Avenue? What are you trying to accomplish?
Okay, the first thing
and Kathy, introduce yourself in your position, please.
My name is Kathy Zoll. I'm the Executive Director of the Homeless Hospitality Center, and we're the organization that will be running the overnight shelter, are currently running it at St. James, and hoping to move it to 80 Jefferson. I guess the first thing I would say is that I'm hoping that we can have a sense of discussion here, because having read the petition, I hear people's concerns, but I'm hoping that people will take a minute and think about who the homeless really are. People that come and volunteer at the shelter are constantly surprised. They see their high school friends, they see a neighbor, they see a person they've worked with. And so I think the first thing that I'm hoping to do is for people to have an open mind and take a moment to think about who's homeless in New London. And secondly, to understand a little bit more about how we propose to run the overnight shelter. In particular, that every person that stays at that shelter will have had a clearance through the police department. This is not an open-ended program, come in and out. We have a program with the police, so everyone is cleared beforehand. We have experienced staff. We have procedures in place so that people will enter by 9:30 and will be staying inside the shelter. We have procedures and ways for people to leave in the morning. And I'm just hoping people will give us a chance, because these are their neighbors, their friends, and people who really need an opportunity to regroup their life. And I think there's going to be a generous spirit out there in that neighborhood when they hear what we're doing, hear who we're trying to help, and see that we're doing this in a responsible and thoughtful way. And that's why I'm just hoping for dialogue, hoping to hear their concerns and to answer them.
Reverend, you've been involved with the homeless issue for several years since you've been here.
Yes, sir.
What's your position and what would you like to say?
Well, we'd like to buy the building at 80 Jefferson Street. We'd like to improve it somewhat, and we want to keep the Latino church that's there with us as well, and preserve the sacred nature of that building. But we'd like to have the shelter there. Our experience has been that as people get to know the people who are homeless, it's a whole different story, as Kathy was saying. You find people that you knew. One of the first things that happened to me was someone found, a young woman found a man whose son was in high school with her just 2 years before. So the people are not somebody strange and different from anybody else. They're people in trouble, they're people with needs, and they're people that we can help. You were asking me earlier about the success. We have successfully housed 64 people in the past 9 months.
How many homeless do we have in the area? Do we count on it?
That's a really difficult number to come up with.
All right. Look, we don't have a lot of time. Sum up your position, and next week we'll welcome to come on and we'll spend the whole hour on it.
Okay? Our main summary is come to the meeting on August the 9th, tomorrow night, at 80 Jefferson Street at, what is it?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, and bring your concerns and talk with us, and let us try to talk with you, because we want to make everybody understand.
Kathy, you have the last word.
I think there's people in need, and I just ask for people to have an open mind and try to hear what we're doing and look at, we're already operational, we've had no problems where we've been, and just really an open mind and some dialogue. That's what I'd be asking for.
Thanks for coming down in the 11th hour. We look forward to having somebody come on next week.
Thank you.
So in fairness to everybody, next week we will be doing a 1-hour show on the homeless issue. Wednesday night is our show. The Planning and Zoning Commission meeting is Thursday night. Both sides will be represented. Try to get both sides of the issue out on the table. Without further discussion, I want to say, I can't keep it in me any longer. The guy who got no calls for as an eligible bachelor was Kevin Gimmer. So if there's something you can do for this poor kid, he's a nice kid, and I'll attest to that. I know we don't have much to work with this guy, but there's got to be somebody for him. I mean, even if she's from North Carolina or something, get her in there. Without further discussion, let's get to Dr. Steve and Alice, and I want to start with Alice. Alice, thanks for coming back. Alice is the office manager at Dr. Steve's office.
Correct.
Very successful practice. Something changed in the last year since the last time we talked. What was it, Alice, and how has it worked out?
Well, what's changed in the last year is that we've become a totally independent clinic. So we no longer take HMO insurance, we only take private insurance and self-pay. And we've been very successful with it. We took a long time thinking about it and actually putting everything together to decide, is this going to be a good move? And for our patients and for ourselves, it's been a great move. We've been very successful so far.
Now, before I introduce Dr. Steve to you again, I want to say that the 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks that Dr. Steve and Alice and Stephen and Autumn come and Mark's children are the best 2 weeks or 3 weeks of Bill Cornish's entire year. And this year has been no different than any other, because Bill is a family man and his family comes first, I'll tell you. And I do have to report that the annual horseshoe contest was once again not won by Dr. Steve, because Uncle Bill and I shellacked he and his partner and the other 2 mamalukes that came along. And I apologize for that, Steve. We will have a rematch. Steve, thanks for coming down again. What's happening in the medical field in California?
Well, kind of in our local area, like my wife has talked about, there's some changes with regards to insurances that physicians are taking. I'm sure that everybody's familiar with the HMOs. We've seen it on TV. We've heard about the different issues and problems. And so we kind of took a risk this year and said, you know, we're going to do something different. We're going to step away from the HMO insurance, and we're going to focus on taking care of patients the way we believe they should be taken care of, and not have so many restrictions and have basically the HMOs kind of putting different restrictions and making us do a lot of unnecessary paperwork to take care of patients. And so it's kind of unique in our area. Pretty much there is only HMO, and so we decided to kind of step out in faith, so to speak, and practice medicine the way it's supposed to. And I just read an article in one of the recent journals that are showing more and more physicians are doing this because they're unhappy with the way medicine is going now. And so I hope that I'm kind of leading the way and leading the path that a lot of physicians are going to soon be going to.
Would you take care of somebody on Medicare?
Oh, yeah.
On Medicare, absolutely. Yes,
So
absolutely.
It's just the HMO area that you, and where do you send those people with the HMOs?
Well, there's quite a few big clinics that do focus on taking care of those patients, and what they are, they tend to be big management organizations that have, you know, high-tech computers, and you know, they do all the contracting, and basically the doctor ends up working for those kind of they're either the HMO agencies or their management organizations.
Let's take a couple calls. Thanks for calling you live.
Hi, Murray. It doesn't seem like it's been a year since they've been on. I comment on the homeless shelter since you did open it up. I left City Council last Tuesday, and they were all up and down State Street. It's become a problem down there. We've become a dumping ground because of the year-round shelter. And Dr. Frank had even expressed his regret for, you know, having this opened. we had a counselor who tried to change the zoning in New London to get them into his building, which would have opened the business district up to other, you know, alcohol, anything. It wouldn't have just been his building. And now they want to put it on Jefferson Avenue. I live off of Jefferson Avenue, and I'm sure you don't want a homeless shelter next to you. The problem is that it's not what they're portraying. These people have made a choice. They don't want help. They have 3 squares a day. They hang out. They've already ruined the Mohegan for the people there. We need to, for me, I want to stop the year round, and I'm sick of them hanging out, hanging around, loitering in front of businesses. You have to step over a body to get into Yata Hay, and this is what we want on Jefferson Avenue. I'm totally against it.
Okay, listen, next week, the show will be dedicated to the homeless issue.
Okay.
Please watch, because there'll be a lot of information, and we'll continue that then.
Thank you very much, Murray.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for holding your live. Hello? Hello? All right, sorry we lost that one. Oh, I pressed the button? I didn't miss, oh, wait a minute, you know what? I pushed the wrong button. Thanks for holding your live.
Hi, Maury. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
No big deal. I mean, they got to go someplace. You know, I mean, whether it's in East Lyme or, you know, because you figure years ago, former first selectman out of Waterford, Tony Sheridan, used to give a buck or two and bring him right down to New London. Say, well, now you're not homeless, you know, and he used to take it out of the town budget. Okay, we're talking years ago. It doesn't matter, you know, California or. They got to go someplace. So, bottom line, it's a problem everywhere. True?
Very true.
You know, I mean, they could go up to East Lyme, you know, live next door to you. But, you know, bottom line, you gotta take care of everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I appreciate these people, you know, that you're on the show tonight. They're very smart people. Well, like I said, bottom line, they got to go somewhere, you know. What are you supposed to do?
Thanks for the call.
And
Watch next week.
One other thing, Maury.
Go ahead.
As far as, you know, the Mohegan down there on Captain's Walk.
Yeah.
You know, years ago, that was supposed to be for the elderly. And all you find is the grandchildren and everything. It wasn't the thing that, you know, but grandparents are taking care of their grandkids, and they're not supposed to be in there. I mean, what are you supposed to do? But hey, I'll let you go at that, sir.
Thanks for the call. Watch next week. Steve, this isn't a problem that's only in New London. How do you handle it in California? Where do these people get medical treatment? And what is the philosophy of the homeless problem where you live?
Well, I imagine, just like the caller said, we have similar situation in California with regards to where the homeless are going to stay. I know at one time they looked at a big base in California, Norton's Air Force Base, that had closed, and we're looking at that as a potential facility for the homeless.
No, Steve, just to bring you up to speed, I think what happened in Connecticut was that through the legislature, the state legislature, they came up with the beliefs that these people needed to be mainstreamed. They originally were helped out a lot up Norwich State Hospital and facilities like that. Does mainstreaming work, and is that something that should be a consideration? Because it doesn't seem to have worked in New London anyway.
Well, a lot of these people have mental health issues. I trained at San Bernardino County, which is the largest county in the United States, and we dealt with a lot of patients that were obviously homeless. They tend to have significant diseases and obviously unable to care for themselves, or not be able to utilize the programs that are available due to mental health issues or that kind of thing, because there are programs I'm speaking of with regard to medical care. The homeless issue is another one. That's a very difficult issue. I don't think we have an answer per se. We have the same issue with regards to lack of health care for those homeless patients, although there are programs, and in fact I'm over a program in Redlands, California that is sponsored by our hospital that takes care of patients on a sliding scale, or if they can't afford it, they actually do get medical care. But they have to be aware of that, and so part of the problem is just letting people become aware of that type of program.
You think it's a
that's
national
available.
issue?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no
And why
question
isn't
about
it being addressed by our government? Isn't that something that, I mean, they could do something about, other than leaving these poor people out in the streets? Because it's a double-edged sword. Some of the people we help, some we don't, some, and they have, realistically, in this area anyway, no place to go. And nobody wants it in your backyard.
Yeah. That's something they definitely didn't talk about in medical school, and definitely a national issue that we all need to kind of work together and come up with a solution.
Thanks for calling. You live.
Hi, Murray. Good show. And I'm sorry to bring up the subject that you're not, about the homeless. However, Jefferson Avenue and Coleman Street, many years ago, as you recall, were switched from two-lane traffic to one-lane traffic. Jefferson Avenue is a major state thoroughfare going north out of New London. The traffic there is horrendous. Even in the winter, the street is narrow by comparison with the snow on the sides of the street. Now, you're going to end up with a lot of pedestrian traffic. These people, assuming there's only 50, are going to be walking the streets. They're going to be a problem for the cars and other vehicles, even emergency vehicles going down. I understand there's a building on Garfield Avenue presently that's being occupied illegally by some of these homeless people. The businesses are going to be inundated with people coming in, asking for cigarettes, trying to bum some money, trying to use the bathrooms, and being a nuisance in front of customers. I remember when on the corner of Jefferson and Garfield they had a phone, and a payphone, and the phone company had to take the phone out because of the gatherings of people just standing around trying to sell drugs. And I personally feel that if this was such a wonderful place that these people were in, and it worked so well, then my question in big capital letters is, why are they going to move? And with that, I'm going to hang up.
Thanks for the call. We'll discuss all this stuff next Wednesday night. Let's get to some medical stuff, Steve.
Known as the architect and as Bush's brain, Deputy Chief of Staff and Senior Political Advisor Karl Rove announced plans to leave the White House at the end of this month.
I'm grateful for being able to work with the extraordinary men and women that you've drawn into this administration.
Thanks for tuning into the Renshaw Report. Murray I, reporting from the city Too Tough to Die in New London. We have a big show tonight. There's a big issue that's taking place. It will take place tomorrow night, and that's the location of the homeless shelter, which is proposed for Jefferson Avenue. We have representatives from both sides of the issue here to discuss this important issue tonight, and I'll introduce them in just a minute. First, I do have an important announcement to make. The third annual Joe Lawrence Ragball Tournament in loving memory of Joey Lawrence is going to be held. It's the third annual Ragball Tournament. You'll be placed on a 9-player team. Teams will be chosen at random, and you'll compete in a tournament of slow-pitch baseball, otherwise known as Ragball. Bring gloves and bats. There'll be food and drinks served. It's going to be 11 a.m. Sunday, August 19th. Registration starts at 10:30 a.m. and is going to be held at the Mitchell Little League Fields on Montauk Avenue. The cost is $25 a player. You can register at the field. All the proceeds will go to benefit Joey's son, Anthony Lawrence. And if you remember, Joe Lawrence was a great lover of baseball. He passed away from the terrible disease leukemia at the age of 27 in 2005. He played baseball beginning at Mitchell Woods, and he played all through the New London Legion League, and he helped coach New London High School during his illness. His friends organized this tournament to help his love for baseball be kept alive and to help with a scholarship for Joey's son Anthony, 12-2. And Joey is Chachi's, my friend from the Sound Lab's grandson. And certainly, if anybody can get involved in this thing, make a donation or go out and play, it's for a good cause. So keep that in mind. And I don't have a lot of time on the eligible bachelor list, but I can tell you the phone is ringing off the hook for Todd Lynch and for my son Paul Donovan. We've yet to receive a call for Kevin Gimmer. His mother did call me and asked me to move him up to the #1 eligible bachelor position, which I will do so in honor of his mother and his late grandmother, Mrs. Fantastic. But hopefully we can do something. Everybody can't go out with Todd Lynch, my son Paul. Without further ado, let's get to this important issue, and I'll introduce my guests. On my left is Lauren Casera, and next to me is Barbara Paul. And on my right is Kathy Zoll, and on her right is Father Emmett Jarrett. I think most of us know the father. Kathy, let's start with you. What is your position with this organization?
I'm the executive director of the Homeless Hospitality Center, which would be running the shelter.
Okay, and Father, what's your title?
I'm the vice president of the board of the Homeless Hospitality Center.
Okay. Now, Barbara and Kathy are residents that live on Jefferson Avenue, where this homeless shelter is being proposed for. We know it's a hot issue. We're going to discuss this as ladies and gentlemen, and we expect the callers to do the same if you're interested in calling in. I don't think there's anybody watching this show or anybody at this table that would not agree that we need to help these people. They are people in need. At the same time, Reverend and Kathy, I think you're well aware that Laura, Barbara, and some of the neighbors have vested interests in what's going on. They raise their children there. They lived there for a long time. So let's start with the Reverend. Give us an opening statement of what's going on, if you would, Reverend.
Okay. We've been looking for a place to have the shelter. We've been in various places over time at Mount Moriah Fire Baptized Holiness Church 2 years ago, for the last 2 years at St. James Episcopal Church. But these are places where we share space with the congregation and are in their parish hall, so we have to take it down every at least once a week, and have been looking for a place. The building at 80 Jefferson Avenue came available. We expressed interest and made an offer for it, and we go before the Planning and Zoning Commission to ask permission to have the variance to do that tomorrow night. We've already met once with neighbors. We invited neighbors in last Thursday night. People came and talked and expressed their concerns, and we are just really aware of those concerns and really concerned about them as well. So we want to work with neighbors, not against neighbors. This is not a thing of forcing something on people. It's a thing of finding ways where we can all work together to do the best that we all want to do.
Barbara, I'm sure you attended the meeting the other night.
Yes, I did.
Bring us up to date on what happened at the meeting. Were you happy with the answers? Are you still concerned? And do you think that the homeless shelter should be located Jefferson Avenue?
I do not feel that the homeless shelter should be located on Jefferson. They were very gracious to invite us in the neighborhood to come and visit, have some questions and answers. They spoke, people in our group spoke. It was very informative. I think it still left a lot of questions for us. I think there's a lot of concerns, and that's where we are today.
Now, Kathy, you're the executive director.
Yes.
What exactly do you do, and what's your take on what's going on?
Well, I have the overall responsibility for the staff and, the operation, and we have two parts, this shelter, which we're talking about tonight, but we also operate a daytime drop-in center, because what we want to be doing is providing a place of shelter, but also be working actively with people to help them get back on their feet and hopefully as quickly as possible into regular housing. So my responsibility is to, being sure that we do those things as well as we possibly can.
Kathy, you have, Laura, I'm sorry, Laura. Laura, you have how many children?
4.
Okay, you live on Jefferson Avenue. I'm sure you attended the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
What's your position, and what is the position of, is there a consensus of the neighborhood at this point in time?
I don't feel that Jefferson Avenue, especially this section, is safe enough to bring 50 people into. It's a very fast, very congested, and a lot of drug activity and gang activity going on in this section of the neighborhood. And of all the neighbors I've spoken with, which is, I've got pretty close to 100 signatures on the petition now, no one wants it for various reasons. My point is the safety issue of Jefferson. It's the busiest street, and there's at least a quarter mile before, from where it starts at Bank Street to the very first stop sign.
Yeah.
And they're always drag racing each other down there. Tractor trailers are going, they've got to be going, what, about 40 at least. They get going past my house in the mornings.
And going the wrong way.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a big
A
one.
lot of trouble. But
So is your concern for the safety of the 50
For everybody there.
homeless? or-
Anybody who's on Jefferson, it's for my neighbors, my family, and bring in 50 strangers in who are not aware of what it's like down there. It's a rough section of road.
How would you respond to that, Reverend? And also fill us in on your take of the meeting that was held last night.
Okay. I was really happy with the meeting, partly because I want people to express their feelings, and you know, no surprises. I don't think anybody said surprised me. People are concerned. People have fears of what's unknown, and it's unknown until you get to know it. So that's real, and we respect that. And we're planning, if we get permission to move forward, we will meet on a regular basis with the neighbors to continue the process that we tried to begin last week. And was it last week? Yeah,
Yes.
Everything's running together. About the issue of the street, that's an important concern, and it's one that you guys have brought to our attention in ways that we hadn't been aware of it before. But that's a dangerous street for the children and the elders and the people who are living there right now. And we want to help the neighbors get things done to make that street be a safer place for them as well as for our homeless guests. So it's not a matter of us coming in and just doing for us. If we come in, we'll be working to make the lives of everybody in the community better if we can. That's our goal, to work with everybody and to get what we need. You people, you folks need better safety on that street, whether we come there or not.
Absolutely.
And we want to help get that.
Kathy, why is the Jefferson Avenue, why was it such a good site to locate this thing? Why was, how was it picked, and what were the parameters that were used in picking the site?
Right.
Another question that's come up through my travels is, presently, the homeless shelter is at a church. I don't even know where it is, but why cannot it stay there? What's the deal?
Well, right now we're at St. James Episcopal Church on Federal Street. And I would say our primary problem that Father Emmett mentioned is we are sharing a parish hall with an active congregation. So that means if they want to have a function at their church, we're in their parish hall. I think any of you that are members of churches know that to lose your parish hall is a big impact on the congregation, and we're very grateful, and I think it's a tremendous spirit of hospitality that they've let us stay there. But part of our agreement has been that while they're hosting us, we'll be actively looking. And we have looked. We've looked at many different properties. And it just happens that this particular building, because it's open space, because it has been a church, so its construction is very suitable for the kind of purpose that we have. It's just not that easy to find a building that can be retrofitted to be an effective shelter. And we need, you know, we've been looking, and this is, for us, an ideal site.
Now, how is this thing being funded? Obviously, there's going to be a major renovation project required to outfit this, I don't know, is it a home or a building?
It's a church.
Church. To house your people. How is it funded, and where's the money come from?
Right. Well, it
I
isn't.
mean, everybody needs money.
That's
Right, right, we do too. It isn't actually as major a renovation as you may think. The homeless shelter is really very simple. What people have is a bed, a chair, and a small bin that they can put underneath. So we're not building anything elaborate. And right now, the church is 2 floors of wide open space. We will put all safety-related things, sprinklers, and fire safety and everything else, but it isn't a major renovation. Where the money's coming from, we have a borrower, we have a lender, and we have commitments of financing, and then we have operating money from foundations and individuals and from state government.
And listen, we know that John Russell does yeoman's work in raising money for this cause, and certainly
Yes.
we want to mention that. But the problem is that these residents have been there for a long time. They raised their families there. They have many problems as it stands now, and I think they're concerned with some of the problems that may be incorporated with this new venture. Do they have realistic concern?
I think their concerns are very realistic, and maybe I can just say a few of them that we're trying to address. The first, people are concerned about loitering, and we are concerned about that too, and we have thought about this, and what we are thinking to do is to open earlier. In the past, we haven't opened till 7 o'clock, but we're thinking about opening earlier so that people won't be forced to be, hanging out on the streets. The second thing is people are concerned about the morning when the kids are going onto the school bus. And again, we have a variety of suggestions that we want to talk with neighbors about so that we can maybe keep the shelter open a little bit later, so that we work with it, so that we don't maybe have the kids and the people letting out at the shelter all on the street at the same time. But again, and I think Officer Bill Edwards, who was at the meeting, I felt was, I thought, pretty persuasive. We have increased police presence, actually, once the shelter, if it's there. The police come by frequently. We've had some discussions about a camera mounted outside the shelter, which we're very happy to pursue, which could be monitored from Central Police Station. We have a whole variety of security measures, including very experienced staff. So I think we have some responses. Not, the concerns are real, but I think we have, real responses that I'm just hoping we have enough time to talk with people about.
Does that make you feel any better, Barbara?
Well, I understand where they're coming from. I understand that, and I'm glad we had the meeting last week. I think it did answer some questions and perhaps raised some other questions. One of the questions that I would have, and please, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but it's a concern that Laura and I have discussed and with our neighbors. That's a very large building that you have, and the Spanish church will stay on the basement level. There's 2,100 square feet on the first and second level of this building. I was led to believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that the first floor will be clerical offices and things that you need to operate. And the third floor will be where the 50 beds go. My concern is with that large space, that it'll be 50 beds today, 100 beds tomorrow. Parking lot is huge, and homeless people don't have cars, and therefore we're going to add on. It's just frightening to think that this could snowball where our concerns are now, and then it could just get bigger, and that's one of our concerns. Do you agree?
Oh, yes. Well, when we go to planning and zoning, we will get a special permit, and that permit will specify how many beds there can be. And I know it is a big building, but it is not. All I can say is the permit limits what we can, the number of people that we can have.
And what would
there.
happen if you wanted to change that limit, say, to another? Would it require this whole process again?
Yes, yes.
Okay. I didn't know that. So.
We have 3 calls, if you don't mind. We'll see what's on the people's mind. Thanks for holding. Thanks for calling you live.
Yes, I'd like a little answers from Father Emmett. Does he belong to a Lutheran church or a Catholic church? Why is he called Father Emmett? And what church does he belong to?
Okay, I belong to the Episcopal Church. I'm an Episcopal priest and a Franciscan. And Episcopal priests are often called Father.
Anything else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for the call. We're just checking qualifications here.
That's right.
Thanks for calling you live.
Yes, my question is, why don't they try other towns? Why do we have to have, I'm a taxpayer and a senior citizen, I live in New London. Why do we have to have all these things in New London? We're the tiniest town in the state, and look at the homeless that we have here. Where do they come from? They come from out of the state. They don't come from other parts of the state. They don't come from New London. And for these groups to get on TV and tell the citizens of New London, oh, well, there's John Joe, he knows so-and-so and so-and-so. Listen, we've heard it all before. I was brought up on Shore Street. I'm 73 years old. I remember when we had a few hobos coming in and out of town. That we thought was great. But this business that you people want to start, please, not in our town. Find another town. Find Norwich. Go to East Lyme. Go to Old Lyme. You're not going to get any zoning there. Go to anywhere you go. People don't want this in their backyard. I'm sorry. I don't know where these homeless people come from, but they're not New Londonites. And that's what we should be concerned about. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. And, you know, the caller brings up a good question. Two questions, actually, in my mind. How many homeless people are in our area, and where do they come from?
Well, we have information about the shelter, and about 60% of the people that stay at the shelter are from New London. Others are from Groton, you know, the towns immediately around. So I would say 75% of the people that are staying at the shelter, their last permanent address was either New London or the surrounding towns. Now, people end up in New London for a lot of reasons. They might have had a buddy in the military who said, come on up and stay with me. They got here, it didn't work out too well. They're stranded. So there are people from outside, but I don't think it would be fair to say that none of the homeless people are from New London. The other thing I would just point out is there probably, I would guess, around 100 homeless people in New London. So it's not that without the shelter, before the shelter, there were homeless people in New London, and there are homeless people in New London still who won't come into the shelter. So every city in Connecticut has experienced many more homeless than maybe 30 years ago.
Now, how do you choose who is able to be admitted to the shelter and who is not? If your guess is there's about 100 of them, and you got 50 beds, who gets to stay and who gets rejected, and how do you make the choice?
Want me to do that? Sure. First thing is that any guest goes first to the New London Police Department, where they are checked for wants and warrants. If anybody has an outstanding warrant, they have a place to sleep that night in the city jail. But people who are not wanted, people who are not a problem, people who are not known for violence or sex offenses or things like that, are sent to us. We then take them one at a time, first come, first serve.
Okay, let's take another call. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Hey, Mark.
Hi.
I just want to stand corrected on that previous call, because we got them in every town. You know that, Maury. We got them in East Lyme, we got them in Montville, you got them in Waterford, such as like Stonington Institute, So they're all over. They're in different towns, It's not only the homeless shelters, but, institutions, such as Stonington Institute. You got a bunch of them in London. You got them in Waterford. Homeless can be from Montville to, all surrounding towns. Everybody has their issues, and where are you going to put them? It doesn't matter, Every town's got their issues. And the biggest problem down there that I see on Jefferson Avenue is not the homeless shelter, it's Belden Avenue where they're selling all the drugs. You got, right at the end there, Belden Street, you sell liquor on Sundays. I mean, there's a big crowd pleaser down there, But I'll let you go at that.
Okay, thanks for the call. How important is it for you to have a drug-free, alcohol-free area?
Absolutely.
And how would you go about restricting? How much power do you have over these people? I mean, you're not the militia, after all.
Thank God.
Well, within the shelter, there is no tolerance for alcohol or drugs. And we have, if we need to, when people come in, we will search people if necessary. But people know that once they cross that threshold, no drugs and no alcohol. We can't control, of course, what happens on the street outside, whether it's on Jefferson Avenue or Federal Street. But the shelter, we have very tight controls.
Now, before you mentioned that you were thinking about changing your hours to open the shelter earlier in the day to miss the school traffic, what control do you have over that as well? I mean, these are all adults. They come and go as they please. How can you reassure people that live there, people that have children, that what you say you're going to do is going to happen?
Well, we will do what we say we're going to do. But
you don't have control.
But we don't control when people come. The idea of opening at 6 o'clock instead of 7 is that the community meal center, which is on Montauk Avenue, about 3 blocks away, is where most people are coming from.
Wait a minute, they come from the meal center to the shelter?
Yes.
In the daytime?
After
No,
supper.
at night, after supper.
Oh, at night?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that means that after supper's over, they can come into the shelter. They don't have to hang out on the street. We can't compel people to do anything. We can't. People are going to come later. They're going to do different things. But at least they won't be loitering around the shelter, around that part of Jefferson Avenue. We can be sure of that.
Right. Now, Barbara and Laura, before we go back to the phones, is there anything else you wanted to get in?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions. One of the people I spoke with said that there is only 40% of the people at the shelter are from New London. And I know for a fact that people are brought in by bus loads, van loads perhaps. Surrounding police officers bring people to New London and drop them off. They send them from Providence on trains and on bus tickets and say, here, go to New London, they have a shelter. And it's wonderful that we are trying to help people, but I just don't think we can take on everyone. I just feel like we talked once before about perhaps it being a neighbor or a friend or someone in the community, and certainly we want to help our community people, but we can't help everyone. New London is overtaxed, overburdened. The police, the fire department, the public works departments are all overworked, stretched very thin. The city is, well, was close to the verge of bankruptcy last year or the year before. It's very difficult to keep things going as it is. And I think more and more people here is just going to be harder for us.
Are we, or is someone recruiting homeless people from other parts?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think recruiting would be
right. I think, again, I would never say that it never happens. I mean, there could be a police officer from a surrounding town that might do that. I honestly think we're very careful. We interview everybody that comes to the shelter. Where have you been before? How did you get here? And I honestly don't think it's bus loads. I don't think it's van loads. We can continue to look at it. The other thing, there are people who end up in New London, not because of the shelter. And I can tell you, we help reunite people back to the South, back to other places. So on balance, yes, maybe a few people end up here, but I can honestly tell you, we work, and I could list to you dozens of people who get stranded in New London, and because we're there, because we talk to them, where's your family, where are you from, how can we help you get back there? I would argue that we get at least as many people sort of moved on from New London in an appropriate way as come in. But we have to keep an eye on that, and I understand that concern.
Reverend, would I be characterizing this problem correctly if I said that I think this problem is probably a social, political, economic problem?
You got
problem
it.
With the homeless.
All three.
And
all three.
Absolutely.
Really, in fact, isn't the meat of the thing is that the government created this problem, and they're expecting cities like New London to solve their problem that they created. Do you get help from the government, and are they doing what they should be doing? Seems to me they should be coming up with buildings and facilities that are capable of helping these people. As I mentioned in the show, I don't think there's anybody that would disagree we need to help these people. The question is, are we helping them? What are you doing to helping them? And get me out of trouble here and answer my question.
I'll do my best. The problem of homelessness is enormous. It's just huge. It's not a simple thing. If it were just totally local and a couple of people fell on hard times and needed help, then ordinary communities are able to do that. What we have is a situation in which hundreds of thousands of people across the country are rendered homeless. People become homeless for all kinds of reasons, and the ones you hear about and worry about most, people who have alcohol problems, people who have mental health problems, people who have drug problems. And those are real, and those are the ones that get the most attention and cost the most money. Talk to people at Lawrence Memorial Hospital. Our emergency room takes in people who just can't go anywhere else, and it's a huge expense. It's a bad way to give medical care to people, but it's the only way that's available at the moment. But people become homeless primarily because they don't have enough money. People become homeless. They can't work. They lose jobs. They lose family. They lose their housing, and most of them, 90% of them, ultimately get back into housing, get back into the job market. Only a handful stay homeless for a long period of time. And people we had a program a year ago where people from all over the region, all over London County, worked on what they call a 10-year plan to end homelessness. And they got people from social services, people from police, people from churches, people from synagogues, people from people like yourselves, ordinary citizens, to come together to talk about these issues and to come up with a report which our city council, along with a lot of other local government areas, endorsed and said, yes, we want to do this. We want to work to house people, because housing
But you know,
is the solution.
the problem with that, Reverend, is not one of those members on the city council that opted to have this facility next to their house. And I would suspect, if that were the case, we wouldn't be sitting here tonight, or you wouldn't be going to planning and zoning tomorrow night. These politicians talk a good game, but they deliver a different message. Laura, you have the floor.
Oh, I have lots of things to say.
Okay.
The caller that said every city in town has homeless, but not every town around here has a homeless shelter. Every town should have one for their own people to take care of them, instead of, well, there's one in New London, head on across the bridge and go over there. We're not going to take care of you. Another, why do some of the homeless not choose to come in? Why? So are they staying out in the woods? Because we've noticed that now behind Charter Oak, where a couple of gentlemen had died, there's porta potties now for them to use. If they want to be in the outside and they really don't want to come to the shelters, it would be wonderful if some of these sporting goods companies could like donate the tents and sleeping bags like they use when they're climbing up Mount Everest. They survive in those and they don't suffer from the hypothermia. There's so many things I'm concerned about with this. Jefferson Avenue, the closer you get towards Bank Street, gets more and more dangerous, more and more hectic. I don't think it's mostly the children's concern for opening the shelter in the morning. There's a lot of deliveries going on, and there's people trying to scoot around the tractor trailers, and if someone just trips off the curb, man, they're done. Yeah. I sit out there, I watch the traffic. I see what goes on. These people are not doing 25 miles an hour, not even close. It's like a quarter-mile stretch. It's like a drag race down there. When you started this, did you ever think that you would be getting the opposition from the neighborhood that you are?
Well, we expected that people would have concerns, and we're prepared for that and want to talk with you and work with you.
Because the notice was only sent out to people who lived within 200 feet of the property.
Well, that's the law for
I know that. I understand that.
planning and zoning.
But if myself and Barbara and a couple of the residents hadn't opened our mouths, the majority of the people in the neighborhood, including West High Street, which is just up behind the church, had no idea. They didn't know this was going on.
Well, I'm glad you did, because we want to talk to everybody. It's not...
And if they're going to the soup kitchen and then coming to the shelter, that means they have to cross Bank Street. That's another bad spot. You know, it's just there's so many things, and like we've all said, you could have 49 of the most wonderful people come into that shelter, but it's the one that we're concerned about. And I personally do not want to take a risk that one idiot is going to come do something to my property or to my neighbors, or God forbid, get near my children. Because then I'm going to end up in jail for what I'm going to do.
Well, we don't want you
You
in
know,
jail.
and we don't feel that we need to take that risk. And of all the residents I've talked to in the entire surrounding neighborhood, nobody wants this.
Let's get back to the phones. We have 3 calls. Thank you for your patience, and thanks for calling.
Hi, Marty, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I just want to make a comment. I say, leave well enough alone. Leave it at St. James's Church. They want to take in the homeless, fine and dandy. And why scatter these people all over the city? They're only causing a mushroom thing that's going to get bigger and bigger. As soon as the word gets out that a homeless shelter is located in the city someplace, you're going to have people from all over just dying to get in there to get a free meal and a bed to sleep in. And that's what a homeless shelter is. Now, yeah, St. James is doing a wonderful job there, taking in these people. You're feeding them, you're bedding them down, you're making sure they get cleaned up and take a shower and everything. Fine, leave it there and don't get so many people. Now, you're saying 50 people, and I've been listening to the program here, and it get to be 100, 200. And what are you going to do with all these people? You know, how are you going to house these people? You got to talk about money, where the money's going to come from, and then if one of them people starts a problem, becomes a druggie or an alcoholic, it's going to come right back to the shelter. Say, this person lived at the shelter 3 days ago, and nobody did nothing about it. Now, you got to take that into consideration. We've had a couple incidents in New London with the druggies downtown. A woman was killed on Eugene O'Neill Drive. Now, these things happen because people are put in downtown area and mix in with the people. These people should be someplace other than downtown. If St. James's Church wants to put them in there, fine, let them take care of them. I say leave them there, and that's all I can say right now.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for your view. Kathy, what's the length of stay that a homeless person usually stays at the facility?
Well, as Father Emmett mentioned, most people will use the shelter for a very short period of time. But we do have some people who will be there for months while we try to help them find a more suitable and permanent place to live.
Okay, now, when they're there, how are you helping them? What are you doing to, obviously some of them are sick, some of them have mental problems.
Right.
That gets back to the political view that the people that are sick should be mainstreamed. This Connecticut State Legislature was overwhelmingly supportive of that view, which doesn't seem to have worked. How do you help and what services are available for them?
Well, we get to know people overnight, but the drop-in center is key to that. And a couple things I would just mention, we have a tremendous partnership with visiting nurses. A lot of people are sick, and a lot of people have no connection to a physician. So we help people see a visiting nurse there and get on to health insurance and get hooked up with community health center. We work closely with Sound Community Services to link people up to counseling. We help people store their medications if they need medications to control their various, psychiatric issues. We don't dispense them, but we help them from losing them. And we have visiting nurses that will come and help people set up their program. We have the Veterans Administration coming. We have the Department of Labor, a whole variety of different things. And our staff just gets to know people and encourage people. A lot of people are depressed.
Do you work in conjunction with the other social service agencies that are downtown? And just a few that come to my mind are the Sound Community.
Yes.
AIC. I guess they're alternative incarceration things. I don't know if you interact with them. SCAD.
Right.
The Harris Building, whatever they do in there, I'm told they even have a pharmacy in there where they dispense.
I think, isn't that Sound?
That's Sound.
That's Sound, that's in the Harris Building?
Yeah.
So it's all over, and I think the answer to the question that the gentleman had was why they come here is because we provide these services for them. And It's something we used to read about in the newspaper, but however, now it's in our backyard, and we're witnessing it, and we're not used to it, and we don't know how to handle it. Thanks for calling. You're live.
Hi, I'm not good at this, but I'm going to try. Okay, we all have people in our families that have alcohol, mental illness problems, and you just got to be compassionate and do a better job, understand people, and how about the state of Connecticut when they what was it? They closed the Norwich facility, and a lot of people ended up on the streets down here. Okay, nobody's mentioned that, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I know a large majority of this New London is Catholic, and I want you to put your money where your mouth is, and I want you to step up to the plate and do your part. I'm not religious. I used to subscribe to that deal, and I'm just spiritual, and I think everybody deserves a chance. Believe me, I've lived in New London for 10 years. I have an open mind.
That's the easy
small
part.
Majority. Don't cut me off.
I'm not cutting you off, but let me interrupt you just for a second. You're putting an appeal out for donations. The donations is the easy part. The subject that we're debating tonight, and the problem is, where do we put the facility? I don't think that there's a problem with money, at least on from a contribution point of view.
Get the state of Connecticut involved. Get them involved. Because
where do you think, sir, would be a good place for it?
Oxford, all the casino. Where's all that money going to?
Where do you think would be a good place for the homeless shelter?
Excuse me? I have my TV down low.
Where do you think a good location for the shelter would be? Would you want it on your street, or can you suggest a good location that would?
How about the park? How about the park out by the Coast Guard? Huh? You've been debating on what to do with that. Get the state. I mean, come on. We're civilized people. I just want to live a simple life. Let's all love each other, right? That's what your God tells you, right? That's what He tells you. And we just gotta find a way. And we put the gasoline on the Iraq War. Hey, come on, keep it at home, and let's do it.
Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling you live.
Hi, I wanted to tell you there's a place on J Street. I think it's sponsored by the St. Mary's Church. And they've been a homeless shelter for years and years and years. I don't think there's been any problems. Has this minister checked in with them to see how successful they have been? There has been no problems, I don't believe, and I lived in that area for many years.
Where's he referring to?
Covenant Shelter. Covenant Shelter. It's been, I don't know how many rooms, but those people are there temporary with no problems, I don't think. They could check with the police department. The houses around the area, I don't think there's been any problems at all for many, many years. So, I just wondered if they checked with them before they did what they want to do.
Okay, well, I'll disconnect you and let Kathy.
And also, on Reed Street, I think the St. Mary's Church owns a lot of the land there. And everything locally with buses and everything, that would probably be a great place to put a building to help these people, and people really need places like this on a temporary basis until they get back on their feet. I think it's a very good idea, and there are very limited places to where you could probably put this, because I feel sorry for the people that would have to live next door or on the street. But I just want them to find out by checking with the shelter there, let me hear what they have to say. Thank you.
Thanks for the call. Anybody want to respond to any of the calls before we take other calls?
Well, I'll just say that Steve Santangelo, who's the director of the Covenant Shelter, was there with us last week at our meeting and basically has supported strongly the need for this. They're a family-oriented shelter. Most of their space is families. and there's a desperate need.
But Kathy, we all agree to that.
Right, so I'm just saying that's the reason. We have talked to Covenant Shelter. There have been very few problems there. And again, I think our neighbors for St. James, we have had very few problems. I mean, obviously we have, you know, we have very tight controls. We work closely with the police to be sure there's no problems. But it doesn't surprise me that Covenant Shelter hasn't had problems.
Barbara?
Well, in the Republic reporting system I checked, there was over 50 police calls from November to July at St. James, and over 45 EMS calls. That's a big drain on our police and fire department. This is irregardless of the check that you have every day where they come in, and this is separate of that. Right. That's a lot of calls. They haven't been to my house 45 times or 50 times.
But the thing I think
it's just a lot.
Right, but I think the thing that's important, Barbara, is they all came from St. James. They came from our staff, and we are very safety conscious. And if we're concerned that somebody is sick or needs an ambulance, we call. And the police have told us over and over, if you are even the slightest bit concerned, call us. We'd rather respond. But those are all calls coming from us. Right. If you were to say there were 50 calls from our neighbors, I think that would be a different concern.
But that does put a drain on our emergency services.
It does, but I think the police have been supportive of our efforts because they would prefer to see people inside, off the street, away from trouble, quite honestly. I think the police would much rather respond 50 times in an organized way to our shelter than to have all these people out on the street. All kinds of problems happen.
But there are still a lot. I hear there's between 600 and 1,000 homeless in our area now. Not
I think
100.
that would be very, very high. But again, all I can say is that the police feel that we're using their resources appropriately. They want us to have a facility that's safe. We can discuss every call. Was that the right call? Should we have called? And I think we have excellent working relationships with them. And I think on balance, again, they would prefer to see people in a safe place. And I might just also add that I know this sounds harsh, but many homeless people are victimized by other people. So the police have had to respond.
How so, Kevin?
I hate to say this, but there are younger people who will beat up the homeless. Right. There are people who will pursue homeless individuals with paint guns, with paint guns and pellets. I mean, it's, you know, it can be a dangerous situation to be a homeless person, obviously, especially a homeless woman on the street. So from the policing point of view, for people to be indoors, to be safe, to be away from that kind of, you know, victimization, it also saves. So
But you think with the gang-related area that we have and the drug area that we have, which is a constant battle for us, that's going to help your people?
I think
they'll be victimized.
They are going to be inside the shelter. I mean,
but they'll have to get there. And the first person that unfortunately is perhaps under the influence of drugs or alcohol who tries to cross Jefferson Avenue in a hurry to get that last bed or to get there before the door closes, perhaps, they step off the curb and their life is in danger. Our lives are in danger to cross that street. I'm not trying to say it's, you know, it is what it is. I've lived there for 30 years. We've had numerous problems between cars going the wrong way, trailer trucks going the wrong way, people getting hit, cars getting hit. What is an individual going to do that's not familiar with our area?
Laura.
It's not a dry shelter, so they can come in out of their skulls and come and get a bed for the night, right, to sober up.
And you can come into the shelter so long as you're not a danger to yourself or anybody else.
Okay, do you lock them down and not let them out? Or if at 10 o'clock at night they're like, I'm getting claustrophobia, I need to leave, do you let them go?
It's not a prison, yes. I mean, and it doesn't, I mean, I can't think of it happening. Right. I mean, people come in, they go to sleep, and we really have, it's really not a problem. But obviously, people are free. You're not free to come and go. In other words, once you come into the shelter, you must stay in or go out, or you can't just walk in and out. You have to be in by a certain hour. But yes, if somebody wants to leave, they're free to.
Has anyone from the shelter, and you folks included, spent any serious length of time down on Jefferson? I myself went to pick up some petitions that we've been having signed last night, and I had some, sorry, I'm going to use the words, some creepy old man was on a bicycle and weaving up and down the street, hitting every single person that was on the sidewalk last night for cigarettes. You cannot walk down Jefferson Avenue with somebody, whether it's a young gangbanger or what, trying to do something, trying to get something. And I personally feel that if you're going to bring in people that are known substance abusers who are trying to get their lives together, these kids around here are going to know it, and they're going to target them. And they're going to say, hey man, you jonesing? I got something for you. Come on. We've got sneakers hanging over the lines. It's marking the territory. This is one of the worst sections of Jefferson Avenue. And if you go another quarter mile up the road, it gets a lot nicer. But right there, it's rough.
We want to help make it better.
We got 6 minutes left. We got 3 calls. Reverend, you have the floor.
Okay, just that, all the concerns that you express are, doesn't matter, are concerns that exist now already. And we don't want to make it worse. So we want to help make it better. We will help get, maybe we can get a stop sign put someplace so that people have to at least slow down the way they do on Bank Street. They don't really stop at the stop signs, but they at least slow down. There are things that we can do. The police will work with us. The city will try to work with us to try to help that. So that if we are there, and
why do you think they'll work with you when these people haven't been successful?
We've tried to get a stop sign.
And cleaning up.
We've got a lot of experience making noise.
Well, I think the more people you have, I mean, I think that's any, and again, we couldn't guarantee success. I know it seems like it would be a simple thing to solve this problem, but again, I think it's another ally, and we certainly can't guarantee. We don't have any special keys, but again, we can advocate, we can, bring attention to that, and
it's just the one that we're worried about.
I know, and we're worried about that person too.
We got 5 minutes left. Quickly, please, you're live.
Hello.
Hi.
Listen, Murray, the church that is across from Shetucket with the big parking lot, it's a failing church. They're going to move to Norwich after these people come in there. They're trying to do anything to get some money so they can move. They're going to sell to this unit, and they're going to bring in more than they're saying now, because they can't keep track. They'll have 3 floors there, and they have a place to expand. New London has been dumped on too many times. Can you imagine what's going to happen from the place where they get free food on Montauk Avenue, stop at the tavern across from Grand Street, and then come to the shelter? When you see them coming out getting their free food, they light up their cigarettes or they pass their bottle around. I'd like to know what the executive director gets paid.
right now, nothing.
Okay.
You don't get paid at all?
Not at the moment, but.
What kind of
But she
executive
will get
director is
paid.
that?
I'd like to
passionate
know
about this cause.
Reverend Jarrett, what's his last church that he worked at, what he was a minister at?
I worked at St. James a couple of years ago. Before that, I was in Atlanta as pastor of a big church. Before that in Washington, D.C., before that in Boston.
Yeah,
been
but
around.
see, you're not a local. You don't
Been here for 9 years.
You don't care about the town.
I do
We
care about
the town. This town here has been dumped on too many times, and that street is a day from it. And I think it's about time that the Zoning and Development Board prohibits these kind of units from into London. We don't need them.
Thanks
I think the neighbors there have a right to gripe about this.
Thanks for your call. 2 minutes left. I'm going to move along. Thank you. Thanks for calling. You're live. Quickly, please.
Yes, thank you, Mark, for taking the call. That Mrs. Paul has really shown her age when she's been there 30 years. But these two neighbors are right. That area it's a beautiful neighborhood, always was. But it is getting worse. And, you know, you got the city building departments going around wanting people to clean up their homes and ticketing people for the not taking care of their homes. This is going to deface the value of their property. Their house is going to be worth nothing. And what about stuff on the line and stuff in the front yards and kids' toys? These people are going to sell them to get their hooch. I mean, nothing against them, but if they're an alcoholic, they've got to steal somebody's belongings. I really don't believe we need another agency in New London or in expanding this. And you got a bar down the street that's already had a lot of shootings. How many more are you going to have? I think it's got to stop now.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for calling you live. Quickly, please.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. Quickly, please.
Oh, well, yeah, good. Very quickly. You know, it's not just these people that are a problem to the city. I'm your cousin. I couldn't help but steal some tomatoes from your garden again today because you are the greatest gardener in the world, you know. And you got to lock the gates because I can't help myself. I'm addicted to those tomatoes.
All right. Thanks for the call.
Bye.
I don't admit these, my cousin. Listen, we're out about, let's take 30 seconds to sum up each person. We'll start with Kathy.
I think we need
Roll
to-
through the credits, please.
I would just, welcome continuing dialogue. I think these are very important questions, but I really honestly feel we have answers that will help.
Reverend.
We want to change the world. We want to make it possible for people to feed, clothe, and shelter themselves.
Laura.
We need everybody, the residents around the New London, Jefferson Avenue area, to please be at the Planning and Zoning meeting tomorrow night, City Hall, 7 o'clock. We need your support.
Barbara.
I agree with Laura. Come to the city council meeting.
All right.